blackfacts.com presents Black History Heroes. Sojourner Truth. Sojourner Truth, legal name Isabella Van Wagoner, African-American evangelist and reformer, who applied her religious fervor to the abolitionist and women's rights movements. Isabella was the daughter of slaves and spent her childhood as an abused chattel of several masters. Her first language was Dutch. Between 1810 and 1827, she bore at least 5 children to a fellow slave named Thomas. Just before New York State abolished slavery in 1827, she found refuge with Isaac Van Wagoner, who set her free. With the help of Quaker friends, she waged a court battle in which she recovered her small son, who had been sold illegally into slavery in the South. About 1829, she went to New York City with her 2 youngest children, supporting herself through domestic employment. Since childhood, Isabella had had visions and heard voices, which she attributed to God. In New York City, she became associated with Elijah Pierson, a zealous missionary. Working and preaching in the streets, she joined his retrenchment society and eventually his household. In 1843, she left New York City and took the name Sojourner Truth, which she used from then on. Obeying a supernatural call to travel up and down the land, she sang, preached, and debated at camp meetings, in churches, and on village streets, exhorting her listeners to accept the biblical message of God's goodness and the brotherhood of man. In the same year, she was introduced to abolitionism at a utopian community in Northampton, Massachusetts, and thereafter spoke in behalf of the movement throughout the state. In 1850, she traveled throughout the Midwest, where her reputation for personal magnetism preceded her and drew heavy crowds. She supported herself by selling copies of her book, The Narrative of Sojourner Truth, which she had dictated to Olive Gilbert. In the 1850s, Sojourner Truth settled in Battle Creek, Michigan. In 1851, Truth joined George Thompson, an abolitionist and speaker. In May, she attended the Ohio Women's Rights Convention in Akron, Ohio, where she delivered her famous extemporaneous speech on women's rights, later known as Ain't I a Woman? Her speech demanded equal human rights for all women as well as for all blacks. At the beginning of the American Civil War, she gathered supplies for black volunteer regiments and in 1864 went to Washington, D.C., where she helped integrate streetcars and was received at the White House by President Abraham Lincoln. As late as the 1870s, she encouraged the migration of freedmen to Kansas and Missouri. Truth died early in the morning on November 26, 1883, at her Battle Creek home. On November 28, 1883, her funeral was held at the Congregational Presbyterian Church officiated by its pastor, the Reverend Reed Stewart. Some of the prominent citizens of Battle Creek acted as pallbearers. Nearly 1,000 people attended the service. Learn more at blackfacts.com.